YouTube fans? Brett Clausen.
And Jamie Starr coming to you straight from Fremont, Nebraska, home of Huskerland. Let's go.
Yeah.
Actually, it's Lincoln. But anyways, let's roll with it. So today we've got a preview of the 2019 college football season. We are giant college football fans, obviously.
Absolutely. Bleed Husker red.
Yes. So we're going to take you through, we're going to guess, predict who we're going to say is going to be the major conference champions of the Power 5 conferences. We're going to do a Heisman prediction. We're going to talk about who we think the 4 teams in the playoff are going to be. We're going to pick one dark horse that maybe isn't on nobody's radar or very few people. And then we're going to pick a champion.
Absolutely. So you know what? First I'm going to say I'm going to try to keep my Husker bias out of this, but I don't know if that's going to play a role or
Yeah,
not.
it's tough.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. And
Definitely
just
tough.
preface this as well. I have not seen what Jamie has chosen.
And I have not seen what Brett has chosen.
So if we freak out during this, that's because it's really reactionary. So
yes.
All right, conference champions. You want to go first or want me to, Jamie?
Yeah, we get this bag out of the way. All right, so let's start with the Pac 12. I think this is probably at this point in time, the weakest of the Power 5 conferences.
I would say so.
There are probably a couple of teams that could potentially win it. You've got your Washington State, Utah, USC, maybe if they have a good year. They're coming off kind of a not so great year.
Yep.
So
I think USC, they have a new quarterback coming in, don't they? Most likely.
I do not recall.
I don't remember either, to be honest with you. Well, I'll just say who I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Washington State, to be honest with you. I think Mike Leach has been proven to be a top 10 coach in the league. I know they have a new quarterback coming in, but also, if I'm remembering correctly, they played Washington later in the season, and they should have won that game, but there was a lot of snow on the ground last year. I think with that fast-track offense, I think they're going to probably tear through the league. I mean, I'm sure they're going to probably win their conference with maybe 2 or 3 losses the way it's looking for me this coming year, but they're still going to come out on top as a conference champion in the Pac-12.
Sure. I think that's probably a pretty good pick. You know, I think Washington State is the Oregon of old times past, not quite as athletic or explosive. And they definitely struggle when they hit the Stanfords and the Washingtons of the world that are more physical. So for that reason, I'm going Washington. I know they're going to be losing a lot. But I think Chris Peterson is the elite coach in the Pac-12. I think he's going to get it done again this year. So
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the SEC. How's that sound? And are you going to make a bold statement, or are you going to go with the usual?
Yeah. So this year, I'm going to take Georgia.
Are you really? Okay.
And I figured that'd be one that kind of shocks you, but I'm taking Georgia. I think you're looking at probably an SEC championship with Alabama and Georgia being most likely undefeated. You know, I don't think, I looked at Alabama's schedule, they don't really get tested till November, so I fully expect them to be undefeated. Maybe to slip up against LSU, they're going to be a strong team.
Absolutely.
But I'm taking Georgia.
And I do have a little bit of a soft spot for Georgia simply for the fact Jake Fromm, and watching that Netflix documentary, I think Jake Fromm is a stallion.
Yes.
And I'm not going to maybe foreshadow what I'm going to say here for the Heismans, but well, okay. Anyways, let's go with my prediction. I'm going to go with Alabama. I still seen what Tua Tagovailoa did here in the national championship 2 years ago, and I think he's special. I think he's got that it factor for how much I like Jake Fromm. I think he's amazing. I think that if you're going to look at a prototypical quarterback, I think maybe you go with the intangibles and, arm strength, all that kind of stuff of a Jake Fromm. But when it comes to the leadership aspects, I think Tua brings a different level than Jake Fromm, me personally. So
he's definitely a more elite quarterback too.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe a touch more athletic, even though I think Jake Fromm is maybe a little bit, I wouldn't say underappreciated athletically, but I think he is actually a decent athlete as well. But I'm going to have to go with Alabama because I've seen it, done it already, and I don't think Georgia's been able to get over that hump yet. So
LSU is probably the other team in the SEC that could probably even vie for it.
The only thing is
they're probably a little bit away.
Their coach, they have enough talent. I just don't know if they have the coaching on the offensive end to really get it done yet.
Cool. So let's move on to the conference. It's probably going to be the easiest pick out of all of them. The ACC.
Gosh.
Let's just go quick on this one. Who you got?
Clemson.
All right, let's move on.
All right.
So really the only other contenders in there would be possibly Syracuse. They're not going to have the firepower really to compare. Books just fell. They're not going to have the firepower to compare with Clemson. Miami's maybe on the up and come. All right, let's move on to the Big 12 conference.
Yes,
I think we're probably both going to pick the same ones here. It's kind of a no-brainer for me. Texas is probably still on the come up. I love Tom Herman. He's a really good coach. But got to stick with the Sooners this year.
Yep. Honestly, I think Tom Herman is slightly overrated, and I don't like his antics on the field. And
that's fair.
Yep. I'm going to go with Oklahoma because I think that Jalen Hurts is a stallion of a quarterback, and I think he's going to do good things there.
All right. And then speaking of coaches that you don't like, let's move on to the Big Ten.
Oh, boy.
Where we're probably going to have some disagreement here. So let's see who you got.
You know what? To be honest with you, Michigan.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. I had Michigan as well. I think they're probably going to be a 1 or 2 loss conference champion. I don't know how strong they're necessarily going to be. They got obviously a returning quarterback, Shea Patterson.
Yep.
They're always going to be stout on defense. I think I got one of the elite defensive coordinators in college football.
Absolutely.
So
I think Shea Patterson, he's a decent quarterback. I don't know if he necessarily proved himself as even a top half quarterback in my opinion in the Big Ten last year. But even if he improves a little bit and they keep that consistency on defense, I think it's going to be hard to beat them in the Big Ten.
Yep. And as much as it breaks my heart to say it, we didn't have this on the list, but I was tempted to say Iowa.
Iowa?
Iowa.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
They're always Iowa, and so they'll always mess it up.
Yep, and they'll be about 500. Then once every 6 years, they'll win 11 games. So.
All right. So with that, let's move on to the Heisman. Who do you think is going to win the Heisman?
Win? I got 4 people. How can I say the 4 people that are going to be there? How about that one first? I got Trevor Lawrence. I got Tua Tagovailoa, I got Jalen Hurts, and I have Adrian Martinez.
Right on, right on.
Those are my 4, and if I had to pick one to win the Heisman right now, I'm going to have to go with Trevor Lawrence for a couple of reasons in that, because I think the ACC is by far the weakest of the Power 5 divisions, and I think he's going to put up monster stats. I think I'm right there with most people. I think he's probably one of the better prospects since Andrew Luck. Prototypical quarterback, rocket arm, and not only that, just great man. I think he's going to be a great leader, and I think it's going to be hard when they're blowing out teams 50-10 every week. He's going to put up the stats to be in the Heisman Trophy conversation and probably be right there at the end.
Yep, and for our sake, let's hope that Adrian Martinez gets there because that means Nebraska had a pretty good year.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I do think probably it's a 2-horse race between Trevor Lawrence and Tua. You never know who's going to pop out as like a running back. Swift for Georgia might have a really monster year. You just never know who's going to actually have a great year. I'm picking Tua. I think Tua's going to get it done. He's got some of the best receivers in the league, always a powerful running game, one of the best offensive lines in the league, but the same is true for obviously Trevor Lawrence. So, you got Alabama and Clemson over the last 4 or 5 years, obviously the class of college football. Not a lot of parity at the moment just because those 2 programs are at such a high level. Georgia's on their way there. I think Michigan is slowly climbing there. We'll see if Harbaugh can break over the hump there.
Absolutely.
So let's talk playoff.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds good to me. All right, you want to say who you got, or you want to go one at a time?
Well, I think the obvious one is Clemson. Like I said, they've got the easiest road to get there. The ACC is fairly weak. They're the only really like solid team in the ACC. Like I said, Syracuse, maybe Miami might be, solid teams. NC State possibly.
Absolutely.
But yeah, they're gonna have a pretty easy road to get there. I've got Georgia as the SEC conference champion. Obviously, if Alabama beats them in the SEC championship, they're going to be in. Oklahoma, obviously, is the Big 12 champion. And then, obviously, if you're going for conference champions, I fear that they're going to take Alabama over a 1 or 2 loss Michigan because it's very SEC heavy as far as selection committee. But I hope to God that the Big Ten championship gets in. So let's go Michigan for the 4th team.
All right, so this is going to be very, very interesting. And I'm not really trying to be a shock jockey right now, but you might be interested in what I have to say. All right, of course I have Bama and Clemson, but I also have Michigan and Nebraska. And the reasoning is because, like I said before, Washington State, that's going to be a 2 or 3 loss conference champion, and they're not going to get in. And my bold prediction is Nebraska is going to actually run the table in the regular season. All their hard games are at home, including Wisconsin, including Ohio State. And with Day being the Ohio State's new head coach, I think there might be just a slight drop-off there, even though it's going to still carry over from Urban Meyer from the year before. I really do believe that. But we're going to get him at home. And so we're going to go and play Michigan in the Big Ten title game. We're going to lose. We're going to lose that game. Michigan will be a 1-loss or undefeated champion. They're going to get in, but they're going to have to still put us in because we're going to be a 1-loss team.
We will see. I hope to God that you're right, but I think that's looking with some rose-colored glasses there.
We'll see about that.
Dark horse to make the playoff, not necessarily to win the title, because again, I think it's probably a 2 or 3 team race between Alabama, Georgia, and Clemson, in my opinion. That'll probably be the winners. Oklahoma obviously is right there. They got to make it out of the first round of the playoffs. So my dark horse is going to be the Utah Utes.
Okay.
So again, pretty low conference. The Pac 12 is fairly weak still. USC is still trying to gain ground. They'll probably be with a new coach here in a year or two. If I had to predict, obviously Chip Kelly needs a few more years to grow that UCLA program and get the players that he needs in there, establish his system, and we'll see if he can replicate what he did at Oregon or anything close to that. But Utah, they've got their longtime returning quarterback, Kyle Whittingham, is a great coach, and they are a physical presence in the Pac-12. So they had a pretty good year last year. I think they can get over the hump potentially and run the table there in a down Pac-12.
Absolutely. So this might kind of contradict what I just said, but so here's my theory, and I've been saying this for a long time. Great head coaches, when they leave, for the next year, their greatness can actually carry over for a year or maybe 2, depending on how good they are. So with that being said, even though it's the new head coach Ryan Day with Ohio State, Urban Meyer was so good, his recruits are still there, his system is still there, it's going to carry over for at least 1 year and cover some of the flaws that Ryan Day may have. So I think Ohio State is going to be sneaky good this year, and they're going to come out of the Big Ten probably with only 1 or 2 losses. And like I said, they might make it to the Big Ten title and knock off Michigan, because Michigan has not proven that they can actually beat Ohio State here.
Yep.
So
and obviously at Ohio State, you've got top 5 recruiting classes every year for the past since Urban Meyer's been there. So
absolutely,
they've obviously got the talent to do it. We'll see if Ryan Day is as good of a coach as they say.
All right, as far as a champion goes, I'm going to say it's still the best coach in the entire nation is Nick Saban, and there is nobody that's going to recruit harder. There's nobody that's going to put more time and effort in, especially coming off a loss last year, than Nick Saban. He's going to be working extra hard. I mean, you watch his interviews even after they win the national title, and they're asking him what's he going to do to celebrate. He's going to go out recruiting. That's what he's going to do to celebrate. So they're going to come out hard, and they're going to probably be an extremely good team, obviously, with Tua there. So that's my pick.
And I'm taking Clemson. That beat down in that national title game this past year, Trevor Lawrence's coming out party. I'm still interested to see some consistency from him. I think that was one obviously breakout game. We had seen mildly consistent play throughout the year. Obviously he was a true freshman, but he's definitely got the potential to be a big time player. They've got plenty of playmakers around him, receiver, running back, obviously great at the line. They'll probably have to replace a fair amount of defensive linemen, obviously, since all of them got drafted in like the first round last year. So, but I think Clemson, obviously, Brent Venables, one of the elite defensive coordinators again in college football. They really took Bama to task and made a statement. I think they'll do it again.
That's a great pick. Can't go wrong either way, I don't think.
All right. Comment, guys, like this video, subscribe to our page.
Let us know if we're smart or wrong.
Yeah, especially if we're wrong. Tell us what it is.
Thanks, guys.